The Grail watch. The idea of that one perfect watch that once obtained, everything in the world is gonna be just right. That one watch that will be just perfect for you. That will make your penis and wrist grow at least by 1 inch and fill all the holes in your life. See, I had no idea about this concept when I got my first watch. But, I thought it was going to be my only watch. Needless to say, I quite quickly found one for me. The Seiko Alpinist SPB 121 with the absolutely stunning green dial, gold hour markers, and horrendous brown leather strap. The combo that somehow shouldn't work, yet it does. At the time, the idea of throwing more than 600 euros on a watch was quite ridiculous for me. I was perfectly happy with the Kamasa for 200. But I still had that idea of owning the Alpinist one day. Well, before I managed to snap that one, Seiko introduced the reinterpretation of the original Alpinist from 1959. And my grail got updated. More faithful to the original, and to me personally, the most beautiful sport watch I have ever seen. This was the Alpinist for me. The watch made for mountaineers, adventurers, and Seiko's answer to the Rolex Explorer. In various iterations, it has been around forever. Once I heard somewhere that it's like the second longest running line of watches in the world, but I couldn't confirm that info anywhere. But again, when it came out, throwing that amount of money on a watch was quite simply ridiculous. Funny how perspective changes over time. The best part is, I didn't even have to buy it. Last year I turned 35.
We had a deal, let the others grow old, not me!
Yeah. And I got my Grail watch as a gift from my wife. God damn, right when you're about to fill in the divorce papers, she pulls off something like this. I guess I get to keep her or something. Like, she really loves me, I guess. Like, she knew this was my Grail watch. Needless to say, I was over the moon. The packaging was better than I expected. And the watch itself looks so much better when you know it's yours. I quickly resized the bracelet. Pain in the ass because it's the pain and color system. Why, Seiko? Just why? Why? But it was here. It was mine. And it would be perfect if it wasn't for one thing. The clasp. Like, what the f is this big pile of shit? How the hell did anyone at Seiko think that this looked good? That people are gonna put it on and say, oh, I absolutely love this horrendous gap. Seiko, if that person still works for you, you should fire him. I don't get it. How something like that can happen? Did two different teams work on each end of the clasp and they just didn't meet where they were supposed to? And what a shame it is. The clasp on its own wouldn't be that bad. It's milled scissor, really well machined, really good tolerances. The upper part is one of those short ones with effectively only one extra micro adjustment hole, but I could live with that. But this, like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with it. Like scoop an ice cream? Shovel the snow? I live in Spain, there is no snow. Anyone has this watch and somehow managed to change the clasp, let me know how you did it. I've been on a search for a replacement, but I haven't really found any I liked so far. Since I started moaning about the clasp, let's talk about the bracelet, because that one is actually really good. It is super comfortable, beautifully finished, thrilling, with these high polished edges on the upper side of the links and high polished sides. Otherwise completely brushed. It is very fine and consistent brushing. It feels right with this watch. Elegant, sporty, all of that. And the light play out of it is absolutely spectacular. It fits perfectly to the lugs, but it's 19mm. Why? Just why, Seiko? I honestly don't understand the criticism the bracelet gets elsewhere. It is absolutely great. Unless you look at the clasp, we shouldn't talk about a clasp ever again. But we can talk about a case. Because boy oh boy, that is a beauty. I normally prefer watches with more brushing to watches with more polishing, but I just can't deny how beautiful this one looks. It is the famous mirror-like Seiko polishing. The brush parts are equally impressive, and the transition between brushed and high polish is very sharp and precise. Dimensions of the watch had 38.6 in the diameter, 46 from lug tip to lug tip, 13.2mm thick, and the 90mm lug width. Just why, Seiko? Why? It tapers down to 18 on the clasp, so at least there is technically a taper. I think the dimensions are perfect. I got 7-inch wrist for your reference. The case is very angular, sharp, with big, bold, chamfered edges that are high polished as well as the bezel. Just look at the brushing on the sides and how it contrasts with the bezel. It almost visually guides you towards the dial. The crown is big, grippy, screwed down, and often criticized for not being sight at this price point. You know what? I don't actually mind it in this case. It is very well finished, and here it somehow feels clean, like it's almost done on purpose. I know it isn't, it's Seiko, but it looks good. The action of the crown is quite simply perfect, and here you really feel the extra money you spent. It is incredibly solid yet smooth. Hands react to the slightest turn, and you really feel like you interact with something that was built to last. The movement inside the crown operates is a Seiko caliber 6R35. 3 Hz, 24 joules automatic with tolerances between -25 to 25 seconds a day and 70 hours of power reserve. Not exactly decorated, but still, I like looking at it through the display case back that, for whatever reason, Seiko still insists on printing something on. I can't complain about it one bit. My unit runs +7 seconds a day very consistently. And 70 hours of power reserve, it's awesome, and it's currently the highest in my collection. Winding this movement doesn't feel as light as, say, a Seiko NH35, but it's very smooth and consistent, and again, it feels incredibly solid. Except for the clasp, there is not much to complain about. And even if there was something to complain about, I would really quickly forget about it once I look at the dial. Seiko is a king of dials in affordable watches. And this particular one is, for me personally, at the very top of that game. It is quite simply stunning. In every light, at every angle, from far, from up close. It's simple and complex at the same time. This champagne sunburst is easily the best executed sunburst I have ever seen. There is always a shadow lurking around trying to catch the burst of light. It absolutely never feels flat or sterile. We have the iconic triangle indices at 12, 6 and 9, faithfully mimicking the original, where the triangle at 12 is slightly larger and has a different pattern than the other two. Visually distinguish it, and again, faithful to the original. At 3 we have a date window, not minding at all that it's not color matched. It works very well with the champagne dial. And the rest of the indices are these buttons. All the indices have high polished frames, are applied, and they sit very proudly on easily the best feature of the dial. The inner recessed minute track. That kind of feels like Longines copied over, but nobody talks about it, so I won't either. That minute track makes already great looking dial spectacular dial. It is different, dynamic, brilliantly done. It splits the dial right at the edge of the indices, with the larger triangle indices sort of biting in, making it not only interesting to look at, but I would argue even more legible, especially in this champagne color. I gotta admit, I'm slightly disappointed that this champagne color is the only one that doesn't have the handset, which is half brushed and half high polished. But the hands on their own are absolutely perfect. They are big, broad, long, gold, high polished, with something like a ton of lume. Our hand reaches almost to the minute track, which is a weird sentence to say, but it works. And the minute hand reaches far behind it. The arrow second hand is a different tone of gold, somehow making sure that you see it at every angle. The Seiko logo is applied, matching the material on the hands. The rest of the text is printed below the pinion in black. And yes, I think that I would look cleaner without the Prospex/Twitter logo. Thank you, Elon. But the watch is a member of a Prospect line, so I get they want to advertise it somehow. But let's for a moment imagine that that Prospect X logo would be on the crown instead. Everybody happy. Seiko, you can call me anytime for more ideas like this. And then we have the automatic and 20 bar. Yes, this watch has a 20 bar, 200 meters of water resistance. That to me personally is absolutely perfect. Worry-free watch. And it makes it, in my mind at least, the adventure watch it's supposed to be. I briefly mentioned the lume already. There is a lot of it. On all the indices, on all hands, and it's awesome. It is not as long lasting, Kamasu still lasts longer, but what gets me is the color. Because during the day, the color of the lume is this faux patina. But then you turn off the light and it absolutely has this wow effect when you turn off the light. Covering it all is a domed sapphire crystal with anti-reflective coating. And it is a very nice piece of crystal, I gotta say. The right balance between staying legible and vintage distortions. I quite simply love the watch. I love how it fits my 7-inch wrist. I love wearing it. I love how it makes me feel. I love it even with the clasp. And I'm not just saying it because it was a gift from my wife. It was my grail watch, and now that I own it, it is my favorite piece. I like the brand, I like the history, and I like how this one pays the homage to the original with very modern take. But the question is, what now? After getting the grail, is my world just right? Well, no. I quite quickly found the idea of spending more money on a watch as acceptable, and got a new grail on my mind. God, I hate this hobby. And yeah, that is it for today, guys. I hope you like it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, I thank you for watching this far. And as always, please feel free to drop a comment of what can be improved for next time. My name is Karel, and this is Watch. Till next time, cheers.